basically is, as I did in the morning, is our last session for Oracle 12c. And okay, what you guys will have to do, I will just, take issues maybe you guys encounter. So we will fix that together. If some of you face some issues, okay, we work on it together. As we did in the morning class, we work on it. I want everybody to be involved, to get involved, so we can help each other, okay? Maybe we face the same issue, and if somebody has has an issue, we can assist. So that is the first thing we'll be doing. And along the way, okay, we can be answering questions. If you have any doubt on 12c, whatever you read or the configuration, whatever we learn together, you can ask questions, okay? So, and after that, that's it. So the length of the class will depend on you guys. So if we have a lot of concern, we can stay up to 8 p.m. as usual. If not, it's more likely for us to finish earlier. So, but don't be afraid. Don't worry about if you have any concern, don't say that maybe it's stupid or doesn't make sense. Ask any question you have. Okay, if I can help, if I can clarify, I can clear some doubt, I think that will help you. So for that, yeah, so that's definitely what we'll be doing today. So I will not teach, okay? We are just working on people's issues and sort it out. So let's start. Anything? Anything for me? Any question? Any doubt on anything? Any doubt? So do you want to say we are all good here in this evening class? Is it what it means?
Hold on, Gatan. Still looking.
Good.
Hello. Hi, Gaita. I have a question. So why is it that when you're plugging a database to a container, the command says you're using a no copy temp file reuse? So what is the meaning of that? I understand the temp file reuse part, but no copy, like I don't understand why they specify no copy.
No copy just means you don't want to, why you were trying to convert, you're talking about converting a non-container to pluggable?
No, I think, no, it's just adding a pluggable. Yeah, adding a pluggable to a container.
Sure. Which question are you talking about, please?
Yeah, when you're adding a pluggable to an empty container. That would be question.
Hello?
Yes.
Sorry, I was switching networks. Okay, so you were saying when adding.
That's question 5.
Question 5. Okay, let me check that, please. I want to see which question you're talking about. Maybe I have the document. Okay.
So after you've already unplugged it from another database, you have the file that the XML file that you created, and then when you want to plug it to the empty container, you'll be like create pluggable database using the file no copy temp file reuse.
Anita, is question 2.
Okay.
That's question 2. It's not question 2. I don't think that's question 2.
Looks like what you're saying. I want to get to the assignment itself. Okay. Oracle 12C. Okay, assignment. So question 2 is create non-container.
No, I think it's question 5.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to open it. Okay. Question 5 is convert non-container database to pluggable database and plug it into MCON, right?
Right.
Okay. And you are saying that why are we doing no copy? Is what you mean?
Yeah. Why? Because the command is I create pluggable database using the XML file, and then it says no copy temp file reuse. I understand that you're using the temp file and you're reusing it because it was from a previous database, but what's the no copy? What does that mean?
Okay, very good. So what's happening is that you know that the non-container database had, it's a regular database, as you guys are familiar with. So that means it has its own memory structure, its own set of background processes, and its own data files, including system, 6aus, undo, control file, redo log file. You guys know all that, right? Sometimes you guys store those files under Aura data, okay? So now that you are trying to convert that non-container into a pluggable, okay? So now what is happening is that command means that you are trying to create a pluggable, but you don't want to copy those existing files because those files are stored in their location, okay? You don't want to make a copy of those files, okay? Because you have the option to make a duplicate of those files. Remember, even though the pluggable, when you are converting a container into pluggable, that container will lose its background processes and memory, but that container will still keep some data files like system, 6aus, users, okay, and some data file. So what you are doing whenever you say no copy, it means that you are trying to create a pluggable, but that pluggable will still be reading from those data file. Okay, that pluggable will still be reading. Okay, so the data file you are considering are still the data file of the old non-pluggable, of the non-container database you had before. So you are not making duplicate. So that means if somebody is trying to query the data file of the pluggable, the location will be the same as the data file of the non-container. So that's the same, the pluggable is using the same data file as the non-container was using. But now if you use the option copy, sometimes when you use the option copy, you need to specify a parameter file name convert. So it means that now you are trying now to make a copy of those files into another physical location. So now if you put copy, you will now specify file name convert, and you specify, the directory of the new location. So now you will have 2 copies of the data file. Okay, so the old copy is still where it was, and the new copy now you will now redirect it into a particular directory structure. That is what the pluggable will use now. And it makes sense what I just said.
Yeah, so in which instances will you be using a copy?
Definitely, it totally depends on, the requirement. Especially, you use a copy, especially if you are trying to use, it's mandatory for you to use a copy first of all, if the pluggable is located on a different server. So if, for instance, you are trying to convert a non-container into pluggable, and the container of that pluggable, okay, the container in which you want to plug the pluggable is on a different server, you may need to make a copy. Does it make sense? Because you cannot point a pluggable remotely. Like the pluggable cannot be reading data files remotely across another server. Does it make sense? So in that scenario, it's mandatory for you to use the copy option. But if you are on the same server and you have enough space, you can use the no copy. Okay, you can use the copy as well, so that you have 2 different copies. And I want you guys to know something, okay? This operation is not, it doesn't work as easy as you guys can see, okay? It's not just something you can just wake up at work, they will give you a small ticket, you just make, unplug and plug within 30 minutes and 1 hour and you are done. No. I always tell you guys that your databases are useless. The database you guys have now are useless. Why? Because there's no application connected to your databases. There's no application. So that means there is nobody who is loading data or reading data from your database now. It's not active. So it means that, why? So your database at work is owned by the application. So the application team are the one to decide whether you need to shut down your database or you need to start it up or you need to change anything. That's why for any change you want to do at work, you always need an approval from the application team. They always have to approve the application owner, the business owner of the application, all this stuff before you do that. So it means that if you want to, to perform an operation like this, it should be planned. It's something that should be planned, that should be tested. We have to make sure that the application functionalities won't be affected. We'll be doing functional tests, we'll be doing, performance tests, all those testing in the lower environment to make sure that after the conversion, we won't have performance regression. So it means that even when you will do the production, conversion, let's assume that we are actually, converting, we want to convert a non-container into a pluggable and on a remote server, okay? We will do that. We will convert the non-container into pluggable on a remote server, but on the local server, it will still be running. So that means it will be running on the local server and the remote server. Why? Let me give you the reason why. Because on the local server, the application team is still using it. But now it's running on a remote server so that they can, before they decide to completely move from the old architecture to the new architecture, they may be using both at the same time. So meaning on their end, they can find themselves updating the connection string on their packages. Maybe they're running some packages, some function. They just need to update connection strings in order for them to be able to connect, both on the source and on the target, or some people may duplicate. They can find themselves duplicating the packages in order for them, so they make a duplicate. So it means the original package is running on the regular non-container as usual, so that nothing is affected. And the duplicate is pointing to the pluggable. So, and the testing team, the QA team, quality assurance team, all those people will be testing to see if the application is working fine on those areas. So you can see that both databases are up and running, but the difference is that the on-prem, or I can say the regular non-container, is not affected. Okay, but now they are testing on the pluggable side if everything is fine. If now everything is fine, now they will decide to do a complete cutover. So it means they will totally stop using the one that was non-container, and they will completely decide to move there to start using the pluggable. Now the non-container can be shut down or can even be deleted from that server. Okay, so you can see now the operation is something a bit tricky. It's not something you just wake up in the morning and you do like that. So when it comes to no copy or copy, it completely depends on what the company wants. Are they trying to use the same server? Do they have enough disk to store both data? They cannot even store both databases on the same server. At some point, one has to be deleted. Otherwise, you will be paying more license. Qualcomm will charge you more because the database up and running is a license fee you have to pay. So that is how it works basically. So it's a procedure, it's a process. Maybe you can get your company when they can overlook those steps and they just tell you to do that. That can be a small company. But very big application that rely on the database, you cannot just wake up in the morning like that and just choose any method you want. You guys will plan it, you guys will test it, and you guys will even do a mock. Sometimes people call it mock migration. So it's like a simulation of what can happen when you are doing it for the production. And at the end now, they will do the production because the production is very sensitive. We don't want anything to affect. We don't want anything to affect the production. That's why it will take a lot of time for them to test, okay, before they definitely decide to use the pluggable, okay? Because if they go to the pluggable and the performance is not what they expected, and things are not working fine for them, they will come back to the old architecture. So that means they may come back to the non-container architecture, even though it's on 12c. They may stay on the non-container because the expectation they had is not met. Things are failing, okay? So they may stay at the old architecture. So that is a long procedure. I cannot tell you here that it is best to use non-container. It is not best to use, it is best to use copy or no copy. It depends on the environment. It depends on how much resources they have. It depends on whether they want to do it on the same server or different server. There are a lot of metrics on it. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, I hope so. If it still doesn't make sense, you can ask follow-up question. It's totally fine. Any question, doubt on anything?
I have a question, sir.
Yes, please. Go ahead. Yeah. You can go ahead, sir, please. If you are, whenever you are ready, you can go ahead. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. When using the no copy option, should our new pluggable have the same name as our non-container database, or we can give it another name?
You can give any name you want. Okay, it's not mandatory.
Oh.
It is both option, no copy or copy. You can choose. You can decide to rename. Okay, while you are plugging, it's up to you.
Okay, if we rename our pluggable, where are the data files gonna be? Is it gonna be in the new directory that was created for our pluggable, or will it still be in the non-container database directory?
That is in case you use no copy. You use copy.
No copy.
No copy will stay. The file will stay at the same location. The file won't be affected. The file will stay where they were before.
Uh-huh.
The scenario of copy, Now you need to specify the directory of the new location. Have you ever seen the command of copy when you went to the copy option? Have you ever seen the full command?
Yes, yes, I did it.
Okay, if you see file name convert, do you see file name convert? You see the directory structure of the source and the directory structure of the target. Do you see that?
Yes, yes.
So the directory structure of the target is where the copy will go. So you are the one to decide where you want it to go. You can put any directory you want, any path you want. The copy will go there.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, makes sense.
Okay. Good. Another question?
Yes, another question. Do I have, like, if I'm trying to convert a non-container into a pluggable, do I have to shut down the non-container, or it can still be up and running while executing the create pluggable database copy?
No,
finding
it has to be read only, right?
Yeah, because in what I was doing, I think I shut down my non-container database after opening it in read-only mode. I later on shut it down before executing the
Yes.
copy option.
Yes, especially you may face some issues when you are using the no copy, especially to use the no copy if the database is still open in read only even, because both are still reading from the same file. Okay, those who are using no copy, it means that the pluggable will be reading from the non-container data file, and the non-container itself is still reading from those files. So it means two databases are reading from the same file. That can cause data corruption. Does it make sense? So you may have issues, error, while creating the pluggable. So Oracle may not allow that. That's why you may shut down the
Non-container.
before you decide to create a pluggable.
Oh, okay.
You're right. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Good.
Hello, sir.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a concern, but it's not 12C related.
Sure, please.
Okay, so I noticed that I dropped my table when I was trying to go through execution plan. I was reading through execution plan, right? So I created a table and I select from the table. So it gave me a result, and I dropped the table. I still create I see select. I use the same select from the table, so it gave me the result. And I realized on my execution plan the same amount of time, the same amount of resources it took to process the both conditions. It was the same, but I think it should be that when I drop the table and I issue select, the time should be less compared to as if the table was still in the database.
But
So,
when you issue select,
yes.
do you receive a feedback after you issue select, after you drop a table, you issue select, you see saw something?
No, I didn't see anything, but it still took the same time. It boot, like, let me say it took like for 5 seconds. Yeah, or 5 seconds or so. It still took the same time, the same resources, but it shows that the table, there's no table there.
Okay, so you say initially the table was there, you issue a select statement, you check the time, you check the CPU.
Yes.
And later on you drop the table and you issue the same query and you saw the same time, the same amount of CPU.
Right.
After you drop the table, do you commit it?
No, I didn't commit it.
So it means it was not dropped completely, right? So you dropped it, you exited the session, you came back?
No, I dropped it, then I didn't commit. I opened a new session.
It's totally fine, because whenever you issue a GML, you don't commit, the other person are connected to another session, will still be seeing the table.
Oh.
Until you commit. If you commit now, perhaps the other user will not see the table. That is like somebody. That's why you guys did the locking mechanism, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when you were having two sessions, the first session issue perform a GML. The other session can issue a select. If you don't commit, the other person will still see the same data. They won't notice that you just drop it. So what you have to do for the other user to have no table existing or whatever, you have to commit. If you don't commit that transaction, you haven't changed anything in the database. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so that's why you have execution time, execution plan, and everything.
And I also want you to brief me about SQL loop.
Because what?
SQL loop.
Looping?
Yes.
Now, a looping is just, sometimes you find developer running, some procedure to perform multiple operations. Let's assume that that is for those who if you in the high school or you were exposed to mathematics, like algorithm, you will see that sometimes when people are writing algorithm, they can, if for instance, I create a variable and I give a value to that variable, I call it I, and I say, okay, I can take values from 1 to 100. Okay, now the SQL statement. Let's assume I have a function f equal 2i plus 1. And if I want to perform a looping on that function, it means that I will take for I equal from I, from I equal 1 to 100, put f equal 2i plus whatever. So it means that for every single value of I, that will be, okay, that value will be replaced in the function. So that's a looping, because every time the value of I is changing, it's affecting the function itself. Okay, so the looping is just a scenario like that. So you'll be having the SQL statement executed multiple times, okay, based on different values of I, on the variable you created called I. Okay, so that is what we call looping, because values will be changed frequently, and you see looping most of the time when you are dealing with functions. So I don't know if we are getting a little bit what I'm saying here.
Yeah, I'm getting you. I'm get 5 on 5.
Yeah, so that is basically how looping works. And looping is one of the biggest issues as well, because you guys don't have SQL statement. I can tell you, your SQL statement are very basic. Developer SQL statement can have loops, okay? Or sometimes you can see a SQL statement that has maybe a drop statement, but inside the drop statement, there's a select statement. So it means that whenever the person is issuing a drop statement, the subquery is the select statement. So the select statement has to take place first before the drop proceed. So you can have subsequent statement, or you can have joins, or you can have loops like that. And one of the biggest issues you have with looping, it is the frequency of commit in the loop. The frequency of commit. Let's assume that you have a loop, okay? You say for this value, for employee, okay, let me get to Oracle. Let's assume I say, okay, I want to, the variable is A, and A is for the employee ID, okay? And I say for employee ID equal 1, okay, select star from, okay, you have a query. The query is select star from scope.emp, where employee ID equal I. So the I is a variable. So that means the I can take multiple values. That for I equal 1, the SQL statement will be executed. For I equal 2, the SQL statement will be executed. For I equal 3, okay, all the way till the last value. So if it's the select statement, that is fine, because a select statement, okay, do not generate redo. Now let's get to an insert. If I have now insert into table Scott, whatever, okay, where employee ID equal the variable. The variable is I. And the variable I has multiple values. For I equal 1, I will have an insert of employee ID equal 1. For I equal 2, I have another insert. For I equal 3, I have another insert. So some people, after every single value of I, may decide to commit. It means for I equal 1, you put commit below. Once it's done, the next value for I equal 2, the insert statement will be performed and another commit will follow. So if you are doing it for 1,000 values on the table, that means you are generating 1,000 redo. And that means you'll be having a high frequency of commit performed in that environment. And that can slow down the speed of the log writer process. And because of that, you can have log write wait event. We also call it log file sync. So looping is something we always have to pay attention to in an environment. You'll be learning that along the way, okay? But that is basically how it works. So for every single value, the sequence may be executed. So value after value, okay? I hope it makes sense to everyone.
Yes, sir, it does. And I also want to ask about like what you made mention about commit. So if I'm like inserting like about 1,000 or about 1 million values in the table, and after each transaction I commit, I guess it's probably gonna probably slow down the wait time.
It's a very bad habit, okay?
Yes.
If I say a statement like that, I will tell you no. You have multiple ways of dealing with such issues. Either you commit in batches. It means that you commit maybe after every 50 insert.
Yeah.
Or maybe after every 100 insert. Okay? It's not also good to commit at the end of 1 million insert. Does it make sense? That one is not bad, it's not that good. So I will recommend you to commit after a certain number of GML you perform. So I will recommend if you are doing 1 million, you are inserting 1 million rows. So I will tell you maybe after 100 or after 1,000, you can be doing 1 million is not even realistic. Okay, I'm just taking an example. So you can be and say you can commit in batches, but do not commit after every single GML. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, because as soon as you commit, right? Remember that in the architecture, when you perform a GML, the redo goes to the redo log buffer, but normally the log writer should not write it to the redo log file. Yeah. It's still at the level of the redo log buffer. Unless the redo log buffer is saturated, the log writer can find itself writing to the redo log file. So once it is there in the redo log buffer, it is just waiting for you to issue commit. Once you commit, now the log writer has to take those redo and go and write on the disk. Now that if you now do commit frequently, it means you are, and the commit will be completed after the log writer has written to the disk and gave you a confirmation that I just completed the write process. Now you can, the server process now will send back the feedback to the user that transaction committed. Okay, so if you are having frequent commit, that means you are giving a lot of job to the log writer and his slave. So it means the log writer, after he just wrote one, has to come back again and do that fast. Okay, so you are speaking of the write process, and that can definitely affect the performance of the log writer process. So sometimes you may have that wait event if, first of all, the type of disk you are using is not that, okay? You may have that issue because if somebody has a good disk, let me take an example of between somebody who has a laptop, a 7-Eleven laptop and a laptop from Best Buy, okay? A laptop from Best Buy, whenever you are trying to do transaction, you can notice that it's more faster when it comes to even CPU or even when it comes to speed. But a laptop you bought maybe $100 can be more slower because the jigs, the type of jig is not that fast. Okay, so that is how you may find yourself fixing such issues. Because of the frequency of commit, you may need more powerful disk. Okay, or if your company cannot afford to buy SSD disk, you can now give your recommendation to the developers. So ask them to commit in batches instead of committing after every single SQL statement that they are running. Okay, and that can help.
Okay, and I have on the next question.
Sure.
Okay, so if you notice that there is too much insect, like there's too much insect, and it probably slow down performance. Like, of course, you're stressing out the DB writer. You're stressing out the DB writer to write more values from the memory to the disk. So I don't know if it is advisable to add the amount of DB writer.
Okay, that means you want to speed up the write process.
Yes.
Okay, due to the huge number of insects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have scenario you can find yourself doing that. It's also, if you notice it's something that's very frequent, it's also a fix, okay? A long-term fix if you want to speed up write process. That's definitely right. Especially, it always goes along with the, with the log write process procedure, because remember, you guys should remember that the GB writer writes after the log writer. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So the log writer has to write the redo to the disk before the GB writer writes the block to the disk. So it means that if the log writing process is slow, you also have to make sure that the log writer is also writing faster. And if the log writer is writing faster, but the GB writer is taking more time, yes, you can increase, the number of GB writer process in order to write more blocks from the memory to the disk. That is a long-term plan. That is something that has to be observed in a real environment, okay? We observe, we assess it, we perform root cause analysis of past issues, and we decide to do that, if that will help.
So how can I increase it?
There are parameters to increase the GB writer process. Do you check it online, Google? I haven't done it myself, but I know we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a parameter, there's a command to do that. You can definitely increase it. GBN, GBWN, it means you can have more GB writer processes. Okay, so it's possible. And on 12C even, on 12C, because GB writer, I think we have, what do we have? It goes from A to Z. Okay, no, from A to Z. On 12C, we have a set of GB writers going from A to Z, another set of GB writers going from 1 to 9, from 0 to 9. So if you try to calculate the number of GB writers, you can just add, make the addition. A to Z, it makes 36 characters, that means 36 GB writer, plus 0 to 9, it makes 10. So you can see that you can add up to 46. Starting from 12C. I don't know about 11G, I think it stops only from 1 to 9. I don't know, or A to Z. Either of them, okay, but not both. So you can add, you can increase, okay? Something you can do. Don't worry, you can do that. There's a parameter to do that. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Good.
And one last question.
Sure.
Is it possible to recover my database if I've lost probably my archive logs, like to recover it and have minimum data loss?
Yes, if you lost your archive log, there's a hidden parameter, okay? A hidden parameter Oracle support will provide if you lost the archive log and you don't have a backup of that archive log. There's a hidden parameter Oracle can provide so that you can be able to start the database. The parameter, It's something offload some. I think it's something. Let me see that. That's a parameter. You don't. It's not recommended for you to do that. Okay. You will not see the parameter from the P5 like that. Oracle has to give you the okay before you run that command. Let me see if I. Well. I will tell you the exact command. Let me check that. Okay. And I'll give the exact parameter so that you can, maybe in an interview, somebody can ask you that. Let me see. Let me see. Looks like I'm not able to find it here, but there's a parameter. Okay, there's a parameter. Every hidden parameter start with underscore. I'm trying to see where I keep that document. Let me see. Okay. Read script, whatever. I'm not sure I put in this document. So there's a parameter you need to set up in order for you to be able, to bring the database back and proceed. But once you set that parameter, in order for you to avoid, issues in the future, you may need to recreate the undo table space. Okay, there's a reason behind that. So that's the fix of how you can easily do that by just you update that parameter. Okay, if you can start up normal, you update the parameter. I think you need to set it. I think by default it's set to false. You need to turn it to true. By doing that, it will make you, because if you lose the data like that, you won't be able, the database won't be able to come back up. You may need to set that parameter to true in order for it to ignore the archive log that was missed, and you can bring the database back up. And now when you do that, to avoid further issues, you may find yourself recreating the undo table space. So it means you have to drop the undo table space and recreate it. Okay, that's one of the fastest way of doing it as well. So some people may be doing some other operation. I know there's other options to fix this issue as well, but this is what I can remember now. But the command, maybe I put it on my Exadata notes, and it's not on this computer. So I don't have it on this laptop, but I have it somewhere else documented, and that's an option, to fix such issues if you don't have the backup of the archive log, especially that one. Okay, so I cannot give you the parameter now because I don't have it, and it serves me a while since I saw that one, that option. So I cannot, but I know it's something like there's reset log somewhere on it, maybe. I don't remember.
Are we the one in charge of recovering Like
Uh,
in case of instance crash in the environment, are we the one DBAs?
Sure, you're the one. But if there's something, if the database cannot come up because you lost the account lock, again, you need to raise a service request to Oracle support as a severity 1 ticket so that they can help you on, they can give the approval, right? They can give the recommendation on your issue before you can bring it. But most of the time, it depends. If the database is critical, you will try your best first of all, right, to bring it back up. It doesn't mean that if the database goes down, you just have to raise a service request. No. As a DBA, you always try your best. That's your job. You try your best to bring it back up. If you can't, then you have to raise a service request. And Oracle will ask you some log files. They ask you some files, you upload some files during the service request creation. And now they can tell you what to do. And most of the time, for those missing archive log that are preventing you to open a database, they will tell you to update the parameter, that parameter. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Any questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to ask, how can I configure Oracle 12c on MySQL Developer?
You cannot configure the software on SQL Developer.
Oh, you can't? You can't use it on SQL Developer?
No. You cannot install the software on SQL Developer. SQL Developer is a tool. It's not an operating system. So,
Oh, okay. So we can only use it on PuTTY or MobaXCamp.
you can, PuTTY is just a tool that helps you to access an operating system. SQL Developer, you are not accessing the operating system. Whenever you connect SQL Developer, you are accessing the database directly.
Oh.
So it means operating system command you cannot run on SQL Developer, like creating a batch profile. You cannot create a directory on SQL Developer. You cannot create a VI from SQL Developer. So SQL Developer is just a tool that helps you to access the database directly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it cannot help for that one. But PuTTY, instead, PuTTY helps you to access an operating system. Okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's how it works.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Gaetan, so you can actually access your databases from SQL Developer, your 12 databases. Okay.
Yes. Sometimes whenever you get to any company, most of the time, right, you won't have the Oracle password. Like you guys here you already know Oracle user password. You just know from PuTTY, you just type the host and you just put Oracle, you put the password. Okay. Most of the time, I can just guarantee you, wherever I worked or I use Oracle user, I never had the Oracle user password. Even till now, I don't know our Oracle user password. So what happens is, most of the time, if they want you to have operating system access, they will create your account. They will create they will create a user for you at the OS level. So that means the Linux team or the Unix team or the IX team, there's a team, they have to create an account for you in order for you to be able to connect to PuTTY and access the operating system. So if they don't create an account for you, you will never use PuTTY. Most of the time, you'll be using SQL Developer so that you can get directly to the database without having to go through the operating system. Okay, so if they create an account for you now, most of the time that you will use your user ID. So the company will provide you a user ID. Maybe your name is, if your name is Gaetan YJ, they can mix it and create a user ID. It can be GYJ, it can be something. That is what you will use to connect because you will have your own password. Okay, so once you connect now on PuTTY, you are connected as Gaetan. It is exactly like VNC, okay? You can see that on VNC, you have your name first. Now, if you want now to switch as Oracle user, now you can do sudo. You will not do su/Oracle. Because you do su/Oracle, you may need to put the Oracle password, okay? Like you guys usually do here. So you may need to do sudo su/Oracle. By doing the sudo su/Oracle, you never request a password. So you can just switch from your regular credential to Oracle. So that is for those who have the operating system access. Okay, but if they don't want to give you operating system access, they can give you database access directly. So you just have to go through SQL Developer and access the database directly. You will never go through the operating system. You will never issue the Jeff-H because you don't have OS permission. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
No problem. Any question? I'm still looking for the parameter of my girlfriend. I opened the other machine. I don't know. I documented it somewhere because it was really important. So I had to place it somewhere.
So, sir,
Yeah.
you made mention that if we use a parameter, we have to delete our undo, but I'm still unclear why we have to delete our undo table space and recreate another one.
Exactly. That is as Oracle recommendation. Okay. I think maybe by researching the parameter is going to corrupt information in the undo table space. So those information in the undo table space will be corrupted. So what happened is you have to drop recreate. It's not affecting anything. It's not affecting, okay, what you'll be doing. So just have to do that. So that is one of the options, one of the easiest options to do that. I think the reason behind was that. So if you make those information invalid, so you need to recreate the undo. The other option doesn't need the undo to be created, but it's more complicated, way more complicated. So,
But sir, I think the Oracle, this Oracle architecture have an inbuilt recycle bin, I guess.
Always, yeah, you can enable it, yeah.
So if I enable it, is it okay if in cases like that, can I get it from there? Can I get a reset logs, the missing reset logs?
Missing what?
The missing reset logs, right?
What do you mean by missing reset logs?
Like I just said, if you want to recover your database and you don't have any reset logs, maybe you probably deleted them or yes.
Want to recover a table or object or a database?
A database actually.
Uh-huh.
So I'm asking if it's okay to get my reset logs from the recycle bin.
I never heard of that one. Maybe
Reset logs are not, they are not.
I never heard of that one, so I don't know where you got it. Maybe you are right.
No, I'm just asking. I'm just thinking out. I'm just thinking it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way how I'm answering as well. I cannot tell you what you are saying is wrong because I don't know that one. I can just tell you I don't know that one. Maybe it's something possible that some people have done, but myself, I don't know that one. I don't even think the recycle bin information like that. The recycle bin is used for object. Whenever the recycle bin is enabled, and application team does most of the time in the transaction can be dropping object or creating object. That's the user of the recycle bin. To keep this object for a while, if they need it, they can still grab it from there, okay, easily. But when it comes to storing other information apart from database objects, I cannot tell you I know that one. I'm not sure, okay? I'm not sure Oracle can store other information in the recycle bin, okay, apart from database object, table indexes or whatever the user can create or drop. Does that make sense? So Readlog are not stored there. Definitely, I'm not sure they are stored in the recycle bin. So you cannot recover a database using the recycle bin, my friend, okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. To recover a database, you need two things. You need the backups and the archive logs. Where are they stored?
In the directory you probably specify.
You know where you specify the backup, right? You know how to configure your backup strategy. You know where you want Arman to store your backup state or your archive log. So that is where Oracle will read from. The only thing you have to do whenever you want to recover, you want to make sure that you validated all those backups. You make sure they are valid, okay? You use a validate command from Arman to make sure those backups are not corrupted and they are ready to be used. But I've never seen a command when you recover using a recycle bin. I've never seen that.
So they
So
are
it
being
doesn't
stored.
exist.
So they are being stored in memory level, not excuse me, in a disk level, not in the memory.
What, please?
The redo logs and the archive logs.
They are the disk, right? Yes, disk level, of course. They are not in the memory. They will do when it's at the level of the memory, it should be written to the disk, right? So that we have checkpoint, so that the control file will update. So that the checkpoint process will update the control file that, okay,
Mm-hmm.
update the commission, the SCN number, right, in the control file. To acknowledge that the redo can be used for recovery purpose. Okay, so and the control file is where? The control file is on the disk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing for the redo log files, which are part of the file store in the disk. I don't know if what you want to reject the question.
Yes, sir, you answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
So I have another question. What about base table? I've been hearing about base table.
Base table in material views,
Yeah, base table in Oracle database.
but I think some group presented material view here, right? Is it a material view base table, or you're talking about base table on performance tuning?
No, I'm the base table in Oracle in our Oracle database. In our database.
Okay, because in database there are some tables. Okay, there are some tables that exist. Okay, by default database. We call them sometimes base table, and if I can remember well, let me give an. Can I find an example of base table? They have some tables, some base table, default base table, like let me see that. So these are some tables you find in Oracle, in the data dictionary. Okay, by default. If I want to remember the concept, whether it is whether it is on or material view specific, or if it's on Oracle. But I know that base table. Let me see that. Base table. Base table. It cannot come. Let me Google it again and see. Let me check that. The exact. I think I made mention of that somewhere in the document. I think it was performance tuning somewhere. I'm trying to record that. Okay, let me check that. Let me check on the PowerPoint if it's there. Okay, let me research it on the PowerPoint. Base table, Control F. Base table. Okay, yeah, I think base table was in material view. That's why I asked. Base table was in material view. I think that's where I mentioned base table. Okay, so the base table is just the table. It's like the master table. So that is from where you want to create the material view. So that table can be called a base table or a master table. Okay, you use that table to create another material view table. Okay, so you can call it base table as well. Does that make sense? So if I need to find if there's another concept of base table, but apart from this material view concept, this is one of the examples. Let me see another concept if there's base table in Oracle on Google, apart from what I said. What is base table in Oracle? Yeah, that is what it said. So the regular table you guys use a base table. Okay, so you can use that base table to create a replication table, a material view, or a view, or whatever object that we rely on that table. So we call that table a base table. I think even on Google, it confirmed what I mentioned on the PowerPoint. So just take it like that. So any table you are having now, employees table, HR, EMP, whatever table you have, okay, that has a column and a row is a base table. But now if you want to create a material view, okay, using employees table, okay, so you can now create material view using employees table. So employees table will be the base and the other one will be the material view or the view.
So sir, I asked that question because I was going through some documents, right? And it shows like if there are many applications connected to the database and a user wants to connect, now the server, the PMON, the user process and the server process, yes, it's gonna take the user, it's gonna verify the user ID using the base table. So I was wondering, is there a particular table that stores probably the user's information that's called base table? Because I've never heard of it.
Okay. So yeah, okay. So that one is a base table. Again, as I say, it's a table with row and column. But we have some special, I think you can have some special type of base table, especially that Oracle know that are stored in the data dictionary.
Okay.
Those tables now store some metadata, okay, some information, okay, maybe that can help you to access data. Because data dictionary, that is where you have data information like statistics. So those base tables now, probably those are the ones they are talking about.
Okay.
On that document you are reading. Okay. So yeah, those are the table on the data dictionary. That's what you may call base table. And I can see now Google that those base tables are owned by a CIS user. Yeah. That is exactly stored in the data dictionary. That's why wherever you write it, that's why they mention base table. Okay, monitor data access. Yeah, so whenever you see something you don't understand, sometimes you need to research, right? You Google it, get the detail. Yeah, this one completely went out of my mind. Yes, it's good to know that base table is stored in the data dictionary and it helps to store some information. Okay. I needed to find some example of base table, but I don't find it. We have it somewhere, but I'm not able to find some example of base table you guys know very well. You guys know some good example of base table. Good example. I just tell you, we know. Maybe I'll put it on Oracle 12c or what? Yeah, I think that is all I know about it. Okay, so you need more information about it, you can definitely Google and you will find it there. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Question?
Mr. Gaitan,
Yes, sir.
yes, even I just got connected. I did not start the meeting. I have an issue. I was trying to create a container database with the 3 pluggables, and I had an issue. At the end, when the error came up saying memory underscore target not supported on this system. But I tried cleaning some memory space, and right now I have, I think 50%, my order data is mounted at 50%. And then 0.71. So I don't know if I still have to create more space or what.
So it was complained about what? Memory target not supported?
It said, yes, Aura 00845, memory underscore target not supported on this system.
This is when you were creating a database or what?
Yes, when trying to create the container database with 3 pluggables.
And you saw the error at the end?
Yes, when I already filled everything, and then at the end when the database was about creating.
Okay.
I have the same issue.
Okay. Your classmate had it. How do you fix it?
I had to close one of my 2 databases that were up and running because I can't have 3 databases, 12C databases up and running. So I had to close the first database I created. Then I went ahead to create a 3rd one, and it went through. So basically, I cannot have 3 databases up and running. So I have to close one before opening another one. Like I must have at most 2 databases up and running. That's what I noticed.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that is what worked for you. Someone else has a different scenario, different fix for this. Different scenario for this. Okay. So for you, for your issue, so do you check automatic memory management? The user was the person who just talked, who just
yeah, I always check it when I start creating the database. I always like enable it.
Okay, what's the amount of memory you allocated initially?
I always give 600.
Okay, you were creating a container with pluggables?
No, I first started. I created the non-container, and then I created the empty container. Now, when I went ahead to create the container with the pluggables, that's when the error popped up.
And how many memory you say you allocated 600 for
for all the databases that I wanted to create.
Okay. So I will advise whenever you're having memory issues, it doesn't mean it's a disk. I mean, the memory and the disk are different. So going ahead and deleting whatever on the disk to clear our data won't be the fix most of the time. I don't know, maybe it can help some people, but memory, sometimes you may have that issue if the memory is very small.
Yeah.
600 is small. Try to add 800 on your container with pluggable and see what you have.
All right.
Yeah, add more because it's a bigger container with multiple pluggables. So try to allocate more if you want to use automatic memory management. So somebody who do not want to use it, can you allocate 700 and uncheck automatic memory management? It should work for you. So just take a try, okay, and see what it gives.
All right.
Right.
Oh, so I thought I thought the error was maybe due to not enough memory in my server.
Sometimes it's true that sometimes you can have that error if you have a lot of databases running and all of them are, all databases are sharing the memory at the server level, right? So on your virtual machine, all the databases on that machine will be sharing the allocated memory. Okay. So, but sometimes you may also have that issue, that error, maybe because the memory target is small. The amount of memory allocated is also small. So you also have to pay attention to that. You can just be curious enough and just issue a top command and see, or to the free -m command to see the amount of memory remaining. So most of the time, it may not be that you are lacking memories on the server. So try to allocate more memory and see if it helps. Yeah, try to allocate more. So increase, maybe Oracle, for Oracle 600 is very small, okay? For all those 3 big pluggable you are creating. Yeah. So because if you're having something like that, it is true that maybe at work you may not, deal with some type of issues, okay? Because of course they may have more memories, and maybe they may have less databases running on a server. So you may not deal with such issues. And most of the time they allocate gigabytes of memories. They don't allocate, yes, they allocate gigabytes of memory. The database can have maybe 1 gig, 2 gig, 4 gig of memory. So it's not like you guys are allocating 500 megabytes, right? No. A real database doesn't have, some database may have small memory because the application is small, but if you are dealing with a big application, which has a lot of write operations or a lot of read operation, that means all the load coming from the application need enough memory to be processed. You need a bigger database, a bigger SGA. So it can have it can go to gigabyte, even 4, 5, 6, depending on the application size. Okay, so you may not deal with this issue that much at work. You may not. So try that, okay? Increase it and see. Once you, yeah. Question for me, guys?
I'm just trying it now, and the same error pops up. I did, as you said, 800, but still the same error.
Okay. Try to add more. Try to cancel the session first and try to restart it again. No, stop the GBCA and restart. Any question? Any other question? You don't have to wait for him. Another question?
Yes, please, I have a question. And you probably already answered this, but I just wanted to clarify, right? So when you're unplugging a database and you're exporting to the XML file, does it also export the data files?
No, it's just, that is how you check the XML file size. It's not that, okay? It export only the metadata. The data file will still be
Okay.
in the location.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That is the metadata. That XML stores all those data file information, like the control file, right? It stores all the information necessary to create a pluggable for you.
Okay. And that information, like if you're dropping the database, those files, they stay in that location, right?
Yes, those files will still stay there, but now I'm thinking whether those files will still be useful, especially if you already dropped the database. Okay. I'm not sure whether they will still be useful.
Okay. So, but when you unplug a database, you must drop it. You must drop it.
As I told you guys, right, when you unplug it, it's still there, shut down, but you will decide to drop it after you make sure that the application is totally fine. The application is running fine on the new pluggable database. They are not having performance issues. Everything is going well. Then you can decide to drop the pluggable.
Okay.
Because it's a project. They have to test everything on the new pluggable where they are moving. If everything is going on successfully, then you can drop now the previous one to avoid to reduce the license. So, but if it doesn't work out well for them, you may decide not to use pluggable and start the database back up because it was down when you were trying to create a pluggable.
Okay. All right.
Questions? So the person who is having the error, you can share your screen, okay, while we are seeing you doing it. If no one else wants to. Okay, you can share your screen, okay? You can check that.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. Try to grab Pimon so that I can see the database running on your server. Yes, minus grab Pimon. You know that command, right?
I don't know why it's loading. There's something is
Go do that on Pody. Try to go on Pody and try. Go on Pody and try. Yes. Yeah, PS minus grab Pimon. Like on this server. I work on this server earlier.
Yes.
Is it a server I work on tonight?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, free minus M. Try to free hyphen N. You have 411. Oh, your memory is highly used. Yeah, you can just use a maximum of 411 memory. That's why. Actually, you already use 1,578. So you may have only 411 left. That's why you're having memory target issues. Okay? So you have a lot of databases on your server. ETC or ORATA, you may need to delete some databases in order for it to work.
Which of them? On my
11G, yes. You have 11G?
Unless some other files are still left, which I have to delete because I've deleted almost all. I have just one left, I think so.
Wow, what do you have? ETC or ORATA, please. ETC or ORATA, let's verify that one. I saw two files there. I thought she was still existing. Cat ETC or ORATA / ETC.
Sorry, ETC
/ ETC / ORATA / I see 5 databases.
These are the ones. These ones are the ones I've created. Now you created this one.
Deleted, right?
Sorry.
That was just a test. I was
Yeah.
just testing, right? When I was fixing an issue. You can delete that database.
All right. And
Just
this
a
one
test.
is a non-con I created. This one is a M-con, and this one is a A-con I'm trying to create, which is not going through.
Okay, delete my database, okay? GT non-con, CDB. Call GBCA and delete that first. Okay? You are lacking memory. You don't have enough memory.
Why is the thing not typing now?
Why is it not typing?
Allow you.
Buffer cache full.
Now, why would he be having memory issues when he only has 4 databases?
Maybe because he allocated bigger chunk of memory to other databases.
Okay. All right.
Click on delete database, yeah. Delete my database, the one I created. Yeah. Yes, I think maybe it will help. You will try and see after you delete the database.
There are other people having more than this, more than like 5 or 6 databases, and they are still fine.
Exactly, maybe because you guys be using small memory before on 11G, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we use 400 on 11G.
You see, so maybe that's why, I don't know.
But he only has 1 database in 11G.
Yeah,
so should I close this now?
Is it done?
Yeah. It said deregister from Enterprise Manager.
No, you don't even have Enterprise Manager Cloud Control, so you don't click it. Just move.
All right.
So that's what I'm suspecting, though. I don't know if something else is happening. Let's see this option if it helps. So, why do you have only 1990?
What?
I don't know if anyone else is connected to the laptop. You all have 1990 amount of memory on your server. Okay, close it. Go back on body and click and issue. Okay, you can issue free minus M there again. Free half N, yeah. Let's see.
Now we have 799.
Okay, so try to create a database on GBC there and see now. Allocate 700 or 750, something less than 799.
So is this at the database level or the operating system level, the memory?
It's operating system level. Your virtual machine, has a limited amount of memory you should use. Once you reach the maximum, you won't be able to create database again.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are trying to see now if he can create something with the memory that's left. Create a container so that it can be big enough.
You already have container, man. You have to delete that container. The one you created was.
So you mean here? Let me just put one now.
No, just delete the one the previous one you created. Although it didn't go through, but you created.
Yeah, I see that there, Acon.
Yeah.
Like it got created. Can you delete it so that you can also free up some space? Release some memory, because maybe even though it's not completely created, it's still using some memory. Yeah, try to delete that and let's go again and check the amount of free memory we have. Maybe it can free up some more memory.
Please, I have a question. So mine says I have 72 left of memory, free memory. Does that mean I can create another database?
How many?
72.
Try and see, right?
Okay.
Yeah, try and see.
I'm not sure if you should even be able to plug.
Why not?
So
Seven,
before it was 799, now it's 715.
Yeah, I have 72.
After deleting Acorn, then the space instead went down, the free space.
Try to run the same command again.
Wonderful. 709 is the space is going on.
Run again. The same command. Issue the top command. Maybe there's a process running using space, using memory.
Like this, right?
Yeah. Non-con, mcon. That's why it's fluctuating, because those databases, non-con, mcon, are fighting for memory that are active. So that's why the memory can be fluctuating sometimes. You can see that the memory is varying, right? You can see the percentage of memory, sometimes it goes up, down. It's fine. Cancel, Control C. Management agent, yeah. Management agent is running there. Okay. So issue the same command again, free minus -m. Free, no, yeah. Yeah. It's okay. Try to go GBC and call and create a database with 600 or 700. Let's see.
No, you have to key mcon and the other one.
To kill them, you want them to be down?
Yes, it will go through.
Yeah, let's see if it can work without them, because even though they are very big, but let's see if we can create without having to kill them.
Gaita, please, so why is it that the free space keeps fluctuating?
Because we can see background processes on the top command. Okay, you can see there, right? How the memory was also fluctuating from there. Were you able to see that?
Yeah, because mine is fluctuating too, so that's
So
all.
that's how it is. That memory CPU, that's how it works. So that's why we most of the time we set up Inter database resource, not Inter database resource management sometime, so that we can allocate, some maximum amount of resources to databases. That's how it is. Most of the time you'll be having these issues frequently on the regular servers. But if you are dealing with other type of server like Exadata machine, you can easily set up this stuff. It's easy to split memory or to split CPU among databases, so that the database will never use more than what you allocated.
We said I should use 700, right?
Yes, let's take 700. So this one is also one of the cause of performance, okay? Sometimes you will have a server, multiple database people on a particular server with a high CPU. Sometimes you can see that from the top command. That's one of the things you should be issuing on that server to see which database is using that CPU. And that can help you to just connect to the database. Instead of having to connect to multiple other databases, you can just target the particular database and just connect to that. Okay? So it's good that your classmate issue that. Okay. Oh, memory target not supported. About it. Is the only option to kill? Go back, please. Go back one step.
Go back where? Here. Where? I need to.
Oh, you cannot go back?
I can't. It stopped automatically.
Oh, cut etc or tab.
Here, where?
Anywhere you want. Anywhere you want. Cut.
Sorry, cut.
Yeah. Okay. Go again and check. When you were creating database, do you check automatic memory management?
Yeah, I did.
Try to do that without checking. Let's see. I don't just want to stop other databases. I know that.
You see where you put 25 gig? Was that the archive log?
That one is just disk. Okay, the disk.
Yeah. Well, I did that and it didn't work, so I just left it alone and it went through.
For the FRA?
Oh.
Yeah. Where you put 25 gig?
Yeah, I think
just leave it the way it is. Don't change it.
Okay, let's see. We have multiple scenarios. Let's see. Always try what your classmates are saying, and let's see.
So I have to go and delete the Acorn again, right? Because
no, it wasn't created. It wasn't created. That's why I asked you to cut or tap. It wasn't created.
Yeah, but it's still gonna be there because that is how it has been behaving.
Okay, go again and cut then from body. I'm not seeing it. That's why I asked you to go. You can start.
Okay. No problem. Let me
check on your left, right?
Yeah, don't change that. Leave it alone.
All right. So you said I should not take here, right? Mr. Gaitan.
Check the scenario.
Went through.
Try to check that okay, try to check this option. Put 700 or 600 and check the box. Let's see the option your classmate proposed and see, okay? It can work, it's possible, so try.
You know what?
Yeah. You have to key those two instances, MCON and the other one. It's going to go through after you do that.
Yeah, I know by killing can help, but I want to see if it's an option without having to kill, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Otherwise, you have only one database running at a time, and it doesn't make sense for me. So just try the same operation and uncheck automatic memory management. Just uncheck that box, okay, and see what it does, what it does. Just retry. Okay, just cancel and yeah, and uncheck that box. It may help. I don't know why some server act like this.
But Joseph, I feel like you had this problem also when you were creating the non-container one too, right?
No, I resolved that one, but it wasn't like this. The error was saying something different from this.
But was this still related to space or no?
Space. I cannot even remember, but I don't think so. It wasn't space issue. That one, I was talking about TNS, something TNS.
Man, 11C, 12C does not favor you. You need to go back to grid computing, 11G. From one problem to another.
Tell you, boy. I lie you.
You need to troubleshoot.
So here you said, what should I do here now? Again.
Now you can still allocate your size, 25 gig as you did. So you put 25 gig or 20 gig, up to you.
Said, I don't know, there's something I don't understand. We are giving that file 25 gig. Meanwhile, the entire database, I'm not sure if it's up to 3 gigabytes.
No. There's a difference between the database and the backup. And that one you're allocating is for the backup and archive logs. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
there we go. But the database itself is not part of those 25 gig. It's completely different. So the FRA is where you have the backup, right?
Yes.
No, sir, I understand. That's why I'm wondering, why should we allocate more memory to that particular directory, and we have less on our database? Like, does it consume more?
It is different. Memory and disk are different. Server comes with memory. Okay, when you have a server, you have memory, we have disk, we have CPU. Those are different components. It is like on your laptop, you have terabyte of disk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Check the memory, you will see it's limited. Just go to your laptop now. If a Windows, go to properties, go to this PC. To this PC, you right click, you click on properties. So the disk, you will see that the memory is just 8 gigabytes. The RAM is just 8 gigabytes. That is what you can use on your computer. Mine, for instance, is 8 gigabytes. But the disk I can use for the storage is about 1 terabyte. So it's different. Memory and disk are completely different. The disk is what we call the read-only memory, and the memory is what we call, I think it's random access memory. Okay, so they are completely different components. So the disks, we always have more disks than memory. That's why we allocate small chunk of memory and allocate more disk, because that's how it is. Okay, don't compare memory with disk.
I think what he's trying to say is that we are allocating 25 gig, but let's say we can have like 16 gig disk space left, but we are allocating 25 gig for the FRA. I think that's what he means.
No, you cannot get space from disk to memory. They are different. You cannot get space from disk and give to memory.
Yeah, no, because when he allocates 25 gig for FRA, it's just like, for me, I think it's just like saying that you can save backups there for at most 25 gigs.
Yeah, not just backup, but archive block as well.
Yeah, archive block.
We always recommend that the FRA should be at least twice the database size. At least twice the database size. But since you want to keep backups longer, that's why you need a bigger FRA, because maybe you need to do your backup maybe for 7 days or 1 week before before a job transfer them to the tape for them to stay there longer. But you need more disk in order to store multiple, backup or archive logs. Stay there longer.
Let's say you have you've allocated your recovery file day size is 25 gig. Does it mean that there's a particular space that has been reserved only for the FRA, or it just like gets filled as you add more backups to the FRA?
No, whenever you specify GB file recovery disk size, that is the size of the FRA you are giving.
Yes. Yeah, but it doesn't mean there's a reserved space for it. It's just like telling the instance that, or the database, that the maximum size is the maximum size of backups plus archive logs is 25 gigs.
Correct. Yes. Yes. Oracle cannot use more than that. That's the limit.
So it also means that there is no reserved space, like reserved space, like somewhere in disk that no
you
one.
May still have. Correct. You may still have reserved space. For instance, your FRA, the location is under Oradata, but if you check your Oradata, you still have some space there. Correct?
Yes.
So it means that if you are lacking space, you can just get more space from that Oradata. So that is where your reserved space is. That is how you'll be dealing. So especially you will find yourself increasing the FRA if you notice that the database is increasing in size. The database that was initially 2 GB, as we are creating now, let's assume the database initially was 700 MB. And after a year or 2 years, it becomes 2 GB because a lot of data were added in the database. Do you think that, let's assume, because I came across a scenario like that, when you have a customer, the customer, their backup were failing, and they did not even have very good knowledge in Oracle. So, and the first thing was when I checked it and noticed that, first of all, they allocated a small FRA of 100 GB. Oh no, 10 GB. Was it 10 GB? Let me check again. Check. The database size was 1 GB, and the size for the backup was 10 GB. Yes, it was 10 GB. So the backup location was full because the database size has increased. No, the database was 2 GB, so it has increased for the past 2 years. So now they had more space at the disk level, but the FRA was full. So you just need to increase it. So you can increase the GB file recovery disk size dynamically, okay? Because the database has been growing as well. If the database was not growing, but the location is full, then you have to figure out what filled up the location. And you might not just go ahead and increase it, okay? Because it will not make sense.
Okay.
So when you set the GB file recovery disk size, there's no reserve memory. Oracle will use everything if Oracle needs it. If you want to increase it, you can still get it from the disk, from the mount point, okay? For you guys, data and others. So try to give your 700 or 600 and see. No, don't check that.
Looks like it's gonna be good now since it's already at 3%. Before it could not even like load to 2%.
Man, calm down.
Yeah.
Coming down. It should be coming.
Calm down.
Allow you.
Allow me, Hannah.
Me, if the creating and starting Oracle instance does not go through, if it goes through, that means it's good. But for me, at that point, if it doesn't go through, that means there's still memory issues.
Mr. Gaetan,
Yes, sir.
why is it saying here that clone database? Why are they using the word clone here?
Because Oracle provides a default template for you.
Sorry?
Oracle provides a default template for you. So you are just using the customized template to create a database.
Oh,
So there's already a structure, a pre-built structure existing that you just change some small parameters, right?
Yes, sir.
And Oracle will use that. We clone that in order to create yours. If you go to the template location, you will see that file, those templates. They should be under Oracle Home, Assistant, GBCA, templates. There's a part like that. You will see that you have some existing template there. And that's what Oracle used to create on any database you try to create on GBCA.
Gaetan,
Yes.
this issue, if it goes through, can it be considered like a scenario?
Yes, of course. You can consider it as a scenario because you were lacking some memos at the server level. You had a lot of databases and you were trying to use. You can maybe consider it in the test environment. Don't say production because production is way planned. Okay. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's something that can happen to anyone. Happen to anyone. But you will talk about this if they tell you the question is going, around database creation issues. So if they tell you, have you ever created a database? Have you ever faced any issues while creating a database or while installing an Oracle software? That can be an example, okay? But if you're asking you some common issue you have in your environment, you cannot bring up this type of issue, okay? Bring up serious issues, serious problem. Like FRA full, you guys are underestimating FRA full, but you guys forget that the FRA full the database will hang. I saw some people here, they have the audit trail location full. That can also be an example or a scenario, okay? So multiple things you have done so far in the past, you can get scenario from that. Okay. Any other question?
Did you free his memory before creating back this thing, or what did you do?
He can tell you what he did, right? I think, can you remember what you did?
What was your question?
Yeah, how did you free memory?
How did I free memory? I deleted some of my databases that I had.
Oh, but the database were they down or up? They were down, I guess.
Down as down how?
Like closed.
Yeah, they were down.
This,
They were down, but what happened is he just decided not to use automatic memory management. That's it.
yeah, that's what I wanted to say, sir. I wanted to ask, like, this issue now, was it resolved by the space issue or just by on clicking the automatic storage management?
Automatic memory management. That's what.
So it means even if I never deleted the other databases that I had as we did before, if I just did what we did now,
It can work. It will work. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
It will work.
So the last time I checked, he had already created it and he didn't check it. So
No.
yes,
No.
It was checked before, right?
I
it was
was.
it was
Yeah,
checked.
it was
Remember,
checked.
he has created it like almost 3 times.
Oh, I don't know. Sorry,
Yeah, I was checking the memory management.
you told me we're checking. That's why I'm
I was always checking the memory management. I was using it.
I can tell you it's recommended by Oracle, but more than a lot of companies don't follow that thing. Okay? A lot of companies don't follow that. Recommendation is not always a requirement. I recommend you to do that, but it's not a requirement to do that. Yeah, so you will find companies allocating memory themselves based on their experience. They allocate memory manually. They will not even use ASM. Some of them experience ZBA will say, oh, based on whatever performance issue I encounter, let me give more space to the buffer cache, let me give more to the shell pool or Java pool, and they give memory manually. They allocate size manually. They don't want Oracle to manage it for them. So don't think that every time, even in an interview room, please don't say that as Oracle recommends, all companies will do that. No, that's not how it works.
Say, I don't know, can too much memory affect the performance?
Too much memory on a system, on a server?
Oh, no, on the database?
No, of course, it should enhance the performance. Of course, it should enhance because you will have more blocks that can be stored in the buffer cache, for instance. So it means you will have more cache hit, which is beneficial. Makes sense? But since memory is very expensive, you may not have enough like that, just like that. Memory is expensive. That is what costs money. That's why you cannot just go in your environment and just increase the buffer cache because you are having a lot of hard passing or a lot of cache miss. It's not just, it's easy to do that. You just have to change the DB cache size parameter. You cannot just go ahead in your environment and do that. That is money. Memory is more expensive to get than the disk.
That's, I think they're doing the cloud, the database is now in cloud.
And what happened in the cloud? Even in the cloud, you pay for memory, right? You think when people are saying cloud, they pay for what? They pay for memory, they pay for disk, they pay for CPU. So now you're paying for it, you are renting someone's server. That's what cloud means.
Yeah, that's considering if you want to buy probably like different servers, then you convert them and stuff. I guess that would be more expensive.
Different server like what? Convert? I don't understand.
Like you want to host your database in different servers. Like I'm talking like the company level.
And you want to host multiple databases on different servers?
Yes.
Of course, we always have multiple servers because all of them cannot fit on one server.
Yeah. So I'm saying, I guess that would be more expensive than keeping your data in cloud.
Yes, definitely. No, I don't know. It's part of the planning phase, but it has been proven that databases in data center is more expensive than maintenance because even though you are doing a one-time investment in order to buy servers, but you still have to perform maintenance. You still have, you are involved in multiple teams. You have multiple licenses to pay for. For instance, if you have a server, you have to pay for, you need engineer. If there's a problem with some cables, you have to call people to do some maintenance on that. So you need data center guys. If you have operating system issues, you need a sysadmin to do that. If you have network issue, you need a network admin. If you have disk issue, you need a storage admin. You need cyber security to monitor the network. You need database administrator. You need application, GBA, in order to monitor application. You need developers. So you have a lot of teams around. But in the cloud, you may not deal with sysadmin if you don't want to. You may not deal with network admin. You may deal, not a lot of them, but you may need one. You can reduce the team. Instead of 3 sysadmin, maybe you may need only 1. So it reduces I can say the cost. I can just tell you, because you are no longer paying for a license on everything, but you are just, renting now on a monthly basis based on the amount of resources you use. And long term, it can be expensive as well, because since you are renting, so in the long term, maybe you can be paying more. I don't know. So there are a lot of metrics involved. But it has been proven that it's more beneficial because the customer will no longer have headache when it comes to hardware. You are not dealing with hardware anymore. So there are other people who are taking care of your hardware. So that's how AWS, Azure, all those people, we have people who are trained to work on their hardware. So they will be fixing any cable issue now. You will no longer see that. You just care about your application and you just care about your database. That's it. So it's more, you save more money basically. I think you save more money whenever you use the cloud. I believe that. All right, so we are done with you guys, with you, right? So I think, yeah, the issue was memory target. Anything else? Any question?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd just like to, I'm just wondering still about the SQL developer. Is there, so will we use it in this case
to do
at
what?
all? Like how we were using it before to access our databases for 11G. Will we be able to access our database?
Yes, you can use it to access 12C, container pluggable, and even 18's databases.
Okay. And how can you do that?
The same way you have been connecting, right? Use the same connection string, the same way you connect to 11G. You will just have to input there to specify the host name, whatever information they are requesting. You access either the container directly or the pluggables directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Question?
Yes, sir. I have this worry.
Yes,
in a work environment,
mm-hmm.
do they have something like an already established procedure on how to resolve a problem? Maybe something like an organized, something like SQL statement that can be used to resolve a particular problem, or you just have to use your, I mean, like something that you, the different procedures you know as a DBA to resolve a problem. It's like they have things already, or a SQL statement already set up, or a procedure already set up that on the job you're allowed to follow to resolve a particular problem.
Very good question. Very good question. Very, very good. Interesting question. And question to be asked. That's any concern as a new GBA you should always think of. I will tell you it depends on the environment. And I will give you 2 scenarios. I will explain. I will take 2 examples. Sometimes the best scenario will be, okay, let me tell you first how it is in my current environment so that, okay, I will use it to compare with other previous environment where I worked. Actually in Oracle, what happens? It is true that if you're on 11G and you go to 12C, you may start facing some new issues you never faced on 11G. as you are moving from new version, across new version, you may start encountering new type of issues. So normally what happened at Oracle is what? Or how does it work at Oracle? So when I started myself, okay, whenever you give me a ticket, a task to perform, okay, maybe I see high CPU on the server, whatever, okay. The first thing I always did, in environment, you can have because every single ticket is labeled. So let's assume that it's a high CPU on the server. I will have something like high CPU load. And I will have the alarm on that ticket. So the alarm will tell me the exact server. I will explain this when I will be talking about environment, when we round up, as I told you guys, right? Explaining how environment works. So a typical ticket, how does it work? A ticket is a task. So I give you a task as a form of ticket. I told you guys, and you have two types of ticket. You have auto-generated ticket. Some people will find other names. It can be auto-cut. So that's something that's automatically created. And we have monitoring jobs in the environment created by people, share script, they build some script, and they schedule their job to be running frequently. And those jobs, whenever they detect any failure, they generate a ticket. Some job can go ahead and read the alert log. If from the alert log they see any error, it creates a ticket. If it sees a monitor, it saw the FRA full, it creates a ticket. So that is what we call incident ticket. And once a ticket is created for a team, okay, associated to the ticket, there's what we call an alarm. Most of the environment, big environment have it. The alarm, what is it used for? The alarm, for instance, if you have a ticket that comes, the alarm will turn red. It means that this issue is still pending. Till you fix the issue, now the alarm will turn back green. So whenever the alarm switches from red to green, then you can close the ticket because the issue is resolved. So the alarm is just there to keep track whether the issue has been resolved or not. So that means somebody cannot just receive a ticket and close it like that. But if you close the ticket and the alarm was still red, the ticket will come back again. Does it make sense? So the alarm is like a monitoring system to make sure that you solve the issue before you close the ticket, before you resolve the ticket. Because a ticket should be resolved at the end to tell when you resolve a ticket, it means that the issue was solved the issue. Does it make sense? So that is how it works basically with the alarm. So now, whenever initially, that's what my manager was even telling me. Okay, whenever I was receiving a new ticket, since I was new, so of course those tickets will look new to me. Some environment have, if you are using a ticketing system, we have ticketing system like ServiceNow, Remedy, Jira, a lot of ticketing system. The first recommendation from my manager was always go and check all the past tickets. So that means this type of issue may be occurred in the past. So I will go ahead and check in that repository all previous similar tickets. So I will copy the label, right? I will copy the ticket title, and I will go and research whether in the past some people encountered the same thing. And I will now see the list of those similar tickets and try to review those tickets. Some people can put some steps on those tickets, some people may not put the step. So in an organized environment, sometimes you can find stuff like that. So you have an issue, you check if some people had the same issue in the past, and review their ticket. Once you get to their ticket, you can find the step if the person is good in documentation.
All right.
But you may find some people, like that's something that was happening a lot before my new manager decided to get rid of it. Some people were resolving some tickets, but they will never put a step. You know why? Because some people don't want to share
information.
So they will solve it, they will just put ticket resolved, issue resolved. They will not put exactly how they did the step resolved. So you, the new person coming, will struggle. So you can get to an environment like that. You can meet like that. So in that scenario, if you saw similar ticket and it was resolved, and if that person is still in that company, you can reach out to the person and ask for help if the person can help. Okay, so that is an option. If the ticket is well documented, you don't need to. You just need to understand those steps and go ahead and implement. If you are having doubt, you can still reach out to the person who resolved the ticket, and the person can assist. Okay, so those are examples. Okay, so what happened in Oracle is that the manager now, because we noticed that some people were not documenting their ticket, new GB when they were coming, they could make mistake. New cloud engineer, they could make mistake somewhere because they don't have exact step, they don't have good step to follow in order to resolve ticket. So now the requirement now is for you to document the ticket. So every Friday, every single team member has to send a 5 ticket to the manager inbox so that he can review your ticket and see if you follow documentation step. So by doing that, it will help any future GBA that's coming in the team. So that means if you are coming to my team, you just see my ticket, you understand. Because I will not just put command, but I will explain what the command means. And I will just make things easier for you. Okay? So some environment may look like that, but some other environment, my friend, you will be checking everything. Everything. You can testify. You will be Googling yourself, headache, you'll be sleeping at 3 a.m.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I think I'm sorry to disturb. I think this Emily user. I think you should mute him or her. It's really disturbing.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So yes, you can get to an environment when you have people who are not willing to share, and the environment is not paying attention to documentation. Okay, like when I was in Houston, they were not paying attention to that. And me, as he knew, whenever I was having issues, I always had to get out of my office and go and see the guy there. And at some point, the guy was even afraid. He was scared. Let me tell you the truth on something. One day I went to one of the guys. He was there for 3 years, 4 years. And I was asking for help in order to, because they had a different way of creating users. They were not using whatever you guys know, create user on SQL Plus that you guys do. No, they had a package, a PSQL package. You just need to fill out, there's already an existing profile for some type of users. So if you're a developer level 1, you already have a set of privileges that will be granted to you. So the package now, you just needed to input some information like the user, the email of the user, the employee ID, the phone number, the manager email, and the role. Okay, so that was my first time to get, because I told them I told them how we do. You guys know how we do. That was my first position. So they have to show me so that I don't make mistake. I don't give the wrong privilege, because I know a friend who got fired because she granted resource to a user, because we should not grant resource to any user. She got fired just for that, because she granted a user to a user, and the user went ahead and dropped a table, and the user was not supposed to have that privilege. So that tell you how critical privileges are. So in order not to get, for me not to get into such mistakes, I have to ask what this package is doing and the exact type of privilege I have to yeah, the exact type of information I have to allocate. So I have to provide. So what happened is that guy, I went to him once, he showed me. The second time it was a user from a different department. I went to him because I did not know the department, the name of his department, because it's one of the information I need to provide in order to create it. The guy was taking time to help me. And after he helped me, and the third time, again, I went back to him to confirm, because he always make sure. To something else again, it was a different user, level 3 developer. There's another group he was part of, so I needed to give a different privilege. Now, the fourth time I was able to do that myself. I already created my script, but every single time I was going in front of him, I was recording, and I come back on my desk and I do that, and I put it on a notepad, I save it somewhere. So what happened is, I don't know, but it looks like the guy was surprised, because the lead in front of him, because he was there just for 3 years, the guy was in front of him was a Chinese guy, very cool. Has been working there for over 20 years. And the guy saw me one day, the second day, the third day I was already working on doing all those credential stuff, managing credential. The guy stayed in front of the guy and said, wow, I show you this thing for 1 year. So you see this guy is doing it in 3 days. And since that day, that guy never shared any information with me again. From that day, right, she left the company. I came back here, never shared, because he was feeling like his position is in danger. Okay? So it can happen to you like that, that you meet somebody who is afraid, who don't want to share. And I know a lot of people in very good GBA who have powerful script they develop for performance tuning, but they will never share. They will just run that script like this. Every single issue you have, but they will never give it to you. And that script, they will never leave it in that company. So whenever they are moving from company to company, they are carrying the script along with them. So that's how it is. So depends. Where are you getting? In which environment you will be working? It depends. That's how you can see some people who are going to an environment, they are just creating users their whole life. And you will see some people who are going to other environment and they are working on every single hard, complicated job, because everything depends. So yeah, environment are not the same, okay? So it completely depends. So yes, I hope I answered your question. So
yes, sir.
The environment, sir. So just get prepared to rely on yourself at a certain percentage. Does it make sense? So yeah, it will help you. Just get comfortable in Googling. If you don't know something, you Google, you go to Oracle support, you reach out to your, even when you'll be working, you can reach out to your classmates from Brontech who are working. Okay, you reach out to people offline, it will help you till you settle. So that's how we manage here. Any questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask again, do they have like a server that you can use to try something before applying? Like maybe if you want to introduce something that you're doubting, you may want to try it before introducing it.
Yes,
when you are faced with a particular problem.
Yes, most of the time you may have access to test environment or dev environment. Okay, sometimes they will give you access to this environment, and you can go ahead and do your testing. Yes, sometimes they have some environment where you can, all the garbages are found there, so you can try whatever you want. Yeah, it happens a lot. If they ask you to create a new object, you to perform a change, sometimes you need to go to those environment and test it first. Some people they will say, okay, we have a project. By the end of the month, we have to make sure you install Oracle 19C on for our production. We not just go ahead on the production and try. So you may need to do that on the lower environment first. So some people will have that permission. And I saw some few scenarios where some people did not have the permission to use lower environment. So what they did was to configure VirtualBox on their laptop and to do that on their VirtualBox before they can do that in the real environment. So you can also find another alternative. After you leave Brontech, because after some time, your server will be blocked. your server will be passed to someone else. So it's not like you own your server your whole life, okay? Because when you start working, Prof cuts your server. So as soon as you get a job, it's always a recommendation I give. Try to figure out how to configure a virtual machine on your laptop for your testing. I configure it, but I became lazy at some point because I'm not using it that much because I still have access to my Brontech server because I'm teaching. If I was not teaching, I can guarantee you that I will hardly use it.
All right.
So, yeah, you can set up your own environment so that you don't need to bother them every time you want to test anything.
Okay, sir. And I want to ask, is it like we already have a 19C version of Oracle, right?
You already have 20C out, 20C available.
Yeah, then when you began with this 12C, I discovered that to create a user was different from what we learned with 11G. But I don't know if there are some significant differences with the other stuff we do with 11G. Like we have not really gone into maybe something like flashback to really understand how it works with 12C. Something like backup and recovery. Something. So we have not really gone inside like what we did with 11C. I have a worry whether the SQL statements we use in 11G we are going to apply. It will apply to 12C, and then moving up front to 19. Is it 19C? I don't know whether all of them are really compatible.
Every single statement you run on 11G, you can still run that SQL statement on 12C. If you are at the pluggable level. So if you are still using a multi-tenancy, nothing will change on 19C. But 19C may have new features now when it comes to multi-tenancy, but the existing features are still there. Okay, so when it comes to backup as well, you can see I provided you guys a notepad. I don't know if you guys practiced that. It was just to show you how to take a backup at the container level or to take a backup at the pluggable level. That's what can make a difference. I also shared a document on how to perform a table point-in-time recovery. That is something we cannot perform on 11G directly. So new version will always come with new features, some enhancement, okay? But existing command you have been using, you won't be confused. If you are comfortable on 11G, you will see that on 12C, just the multi-tenancy is what is a bit different. Apart from that, the way you connect is the same. You run the SQL statement as you usually do. So there's no big deal. So that is why a GBA that's comfortable on 12C can manage 19C, 18C. 18C is just 12.2.0.3, if I remember. Okay, so you can see that it's just similar to 12.2.0.3. So these are just some enhancement. And again, I think there's some business behind. That's why they put those 18, 19, 20, whatever. Just some business behind. Okay, so, but there's no big difference between 18, 12C and 19C when it comes to management. It's true that on 19C now, a lot of things are automated. A lot of things like index creation are automated, index rebuild are automated. Some stuff are enhanced. You can still perform some manual operation. So that's how it is. So those are just new features. Okay. So
thank you.
Yeah. So I have a question, please.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if the old 11G we had in DBO, I don't know if you can upgrade it to this one, to this 12C.
Oh, that is part of the project, right? That is part of the second project. Both Mr. Brenda will clear all your servers and you will move 11G databases to 12C. Before, my students from previous classes, they were even installing 10G 11G and 12C. So they were moving a database from 10G all the way to 12C. But I noticed that the steps are on look alike. It's not the big difference. So for me, I will not force you guys to start all the way from 10G to 12C. I will ask you guys to start from 11. Okay, so that's what I will ask you guys to do. So yes, you will upgrade your existing database from 11 to 12. That is the project after data guide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And if somebody is able to move a database from 11 to 12, you can move from 12 to 18. You can move from 12 to 19.
So do you have the package like the software?
No. You can have you can use graphical user interfaces. You will hear about GBUA to do that. You can use scripts to do that. You can use Datapom to do that. You can use a lot of tools. DataGuard can also be used for that. Golden Gate can be used for that. Transport table space can be used for that. Multiple tools can be used to upgrade. So, but for Brontech, we may use 2 of them or 3 of them. Okay. I will give you guys enough flexibility. Maybe I will ask a group to use one of the options and another group to use another option. I will see if it's possible.
All right, cool.
Yeah. I may do that, yes. I may tell, okay, this group use DBUA, another group use manual, another group use Datapom. I will see if with the time it will make sense, because we have to do that within the next 2 weeks. So we should not go above the 2 weeks. So if it's not possible, we just only 2 groups will take care of that, or 1 group we do one of the options. It's okay. Question? Oh, with that said, so Friday we meet, as I said. Okay. Even though I have a classmate we lost in Brontech here. He was a Brontech student. He passed away, and I think the wakekeeping is Friday. But what happened is I will introduce DataGuard, then I will go there after my meeting. So we can start DataGuard at I just need 2 hours from your time, Friday. So you guys choose 5 or 6. Which one works best for you? 5 or 6?
Can do 5.
Since it's 2 hours, let me take 6, because I think some people come late because of that. Let me introduce it at 6, okay? And 6 to 8. And right after that, I will release you guys, okay? Just 2 hours.
So you have the yam and the knife.
What do you mean? What are you saying?
I mean you're on the 4-way. You're in control. So whatever you say works for me.
Okay, you say for you, right? So I know that people are just trying to accommodate. I know people are struggling with the new schedule, and I already apologize for that. But that is for your good. Otherwise, you guys will have less time than the morning, because the morning is having 3 hours, no matter what. But if I give you guys only 2 hours, okay, it's more disadvantageous than, okay. I want to balance things. To have more time and order to have less time. So we managed Friday at 6 p.m. from 6 to 8. And you can read, okay, the PowerPoint ahead of the time. Since it's already out, I already gave you the PowerPoint. So just take some time, go through that, watch some few videos. I don't want you to be expert on that. I even received a call this morning from a classmate who already even started. I never asked you to start yet, okay? So you do that on your own will. But as I did for 12C, you can just follow the process, okay? I will tell you when to start working on the process, start working on it when it comes to the practicals. So for that said, let's say Friday at 6 p.m., okay?
All right.
Okay, guys, thank you for your time. I hope some people learn, okay? learn from other people's mistakes or other people's issues. Okay, that was the purpose of this class. So, okay. See you guys Friday, okay? Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.